Hi, thanks for joining us today. It's our first episode of Besties in a Box, and we're going to be meeting with my dear friend Nina. And before we get started, I want to remind you to like and follow my page here on YouTube so you can be tuned in to all of our upcoming episodes in the next few months. Thanks. Hope you enjoy. First guest, Nina, has been one of my dear friends for, over 20 years, I think, or close to 20 years.
Yeah.
We've known each other since we've known each other since our kids were little. We met when we were neighbors. We lived in the same sort of, I guess it would be like an apartment housing complex or something like that.
Yeah.
And our kids were little. We've been through a lot together, Nina and I. I think about all the things we've been through. I went through a pretty extended, long struggle with illness, and she was there by my side. Her husband also went through a long struggle with illness as well, and I was there through that with her. We raised our kids. I moved away. We lost touch. She went through a separation. I got married. We've lost some family. We've lost some dear friends together. We've grieved together. We've been through a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. Nina's one of those girls that, she's your best friend for life. It doesn't matter if you don't talk to her for years. As soon as you see her, it's like, bam, you're best friends again. And you know what? Everybody should have a friend like that. And that's how I feel about my girl, Nina. She is one of the hardest working, strongest women I know. She's like a mighty oak tree. That's how I see my Nina, the mighty oak. And so I'm really excited that you guys are going to get to know a little bit about my friend Nina today, that she's agreed to be my very first guest. I couldn't have asked for a better first guest. And I'm so proud of her for stepping up. She's not the most, what's the right word? She's not the first to jump in front of a camera. Let's say that.
No.
No. So the fact that she's agreed to do this takes a huge amount of courage. And so I hope that you can all appreciate how much courage it takes just for her to sit here and do this today. And I certainly do. And so I just want to welcome Nina and give her an opportunity to say hi. Hi, Nina. Say hi.
Hi.
I'm definitely the bigger talker in this friendship.
I don't know.
So today, I want to just give Nina an opportunity to start off, and I'm going to start off with a tough question. And the first question I want to ask you, Nina, that for our guests is, I alluded to it earlier. One of the things that I have admired the most about you throughout the years that I've known you is just how hardworking you are. I have never known anybody who works as hard as Nina. In this day and age, a lot of people struggle with making ends meet, with trying to find a job, childcare, living on their own. Nina is a single mom, and she works hard for that. I'll tell you, her kids never want for anything. I don't even know. How many jobs do you have now? Like, honestly, I know you have an employment job, but then you're also self-employed. So
Yeah. I clean homes every day. Usually just one, but most times two. And then I work at our hockey arena here in Victoria.
yeah.
And then I clean the Shaw Cable office. That's a separate job. I clean that twice a week.
So really, like, you have a full-time job, and then you're an entrepreneur, and you have several part-time jobs.
Yes.
And then on top of that, how many other people do you help? Like, let's be honest here.
Anyone who calls me, really.
Anyone who calls me. Yeah.
I'm actually also I live in a housing complex, low income housing. So I do daycare for one of my neighbors too. So I do that after school or all day now that school's out.
So that's another job.
Yeah.
Was I kidding when I said she's a hardworking girl? No. No. And so Nina, why? I mean, I know financially it's important to work when you're a single mom and you have two kids and all the rest of it, but you've always done this, even when you were married and your husband had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that you have this strong desire to just go all the time?
Growing up, I grew up in a small town called Lillooet, BC. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She did daycare. And my dad worked at the sawmill. And so my mom, breakfast was ready for us in the morning. Cookies and milk were ready for us after school. We always had kids around. So growing up, even at the age of like 15, I'm like, I want to be a mom. And all I ever wanted to be growing up was a wife and a mom. So one of the first thing I started doing when, even before I got married, moved to Victoria and moved out on my own, I did daycare because that's what I grew up seeing. And that's one of the ways we met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've sat before and tried to remember how many kids I've taken care of over, I'm 47. So yeah, I babysat when I was a teenager. So it's kids and
Hundreds
babysitting.
probably, Nina.
I don't know. So, but my mom, that was the example that I had. My mom, my dad used to work 4 days graveyard, but 3 days, we were always out in the backyard mowing the lawn and growing gardens, and just the stories I heard from my grandparents too about how they worked. My grandfather didn't go to war. He was born in 1911. He didn't go to war because he was a professional gardener. So they kept him back home in Yorkshire, England, and he grew vegetables and stuff to send to the front lines for the troops. And
wow.
My grandmother, she finished grade, I don't know what it was in England, grade 6, grade 7.
Yeah.
And back then, she was born in 1915. Back then, you had to take a test to see if you were smart enough to go to high school.
Oh,
and
okay.
She passed, but they owned a butcher shop and they lived upstairs, and she had to work in the butcher shop, so she didn't get to go to high school. And when she was 16, 17, her parents sent her out to become a domestic, and she went and worked for other rich families and cleaned their houses and took care of their kids. And so I think that's really originally where it came from.
Yeah, so you kind of come by this strong work ethic really honestly, like through your whole family line, really.
And I've done ancestry.com, and I've traced my dad's father's family back to like the 1700s, and they were all just like farmers and sheep herders and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I think I'm an Endersby originally. My maiden name's an Endersby, and if you trace it back, we come from the Vikings. So maybe that's where it comes from. The red hair.
Loving the red hair, by the way. I like the haircut. Looks good.
Yeah, so I think, if you were to trace it back, I just think it's part of its DNA.
So, okay, Nina, here's the thing. You always work so hard, and you've always been kind of the provider, if you want to call it that. You never quit. Woman to woman. Are you done? You get tired? You just want to quit sometimes?
Yeah. I went to counseling after Will left, and
sorry, what was that?
I went to counseling for a while after Will left.
Yeah. Sorry, can you tell everybody who Will was your husband?
Will is my husband.
Yeah.
This July 17th, we would be married for 20 years. We're still married, but he left us August 14th of 2016. So we haven't been together for almost 3 years. Okay. And I'm getting to the point. Somebody asked me the other day, how are you doing with that? And I'm like, I'm good. Like, I wasn't good for a long time or in a good place, but I'm okay with it now. So still have my days just like everybody else. I have good days and bad days, but I don't know where I was going with that story about Will.
Well, because I was asking you how you're doing. Like, are you tired? Do you want to just quit sometimes? Yeah.
Yes, in counseling, the lady, I did a lot of, due to the situation with Will, and I did a lot of refereeing.
Feel comfortable telling us a little bit about that situation?
I've just
you don't have to give us details, but just a little bit about, the history. And
I think Will's brother is 12 years older than him, so he pretty much grew up as an only child. And so I found myself in our marriage from the time our daughter was born to like 2 days ago doing a lot. actually not so much anymore because of my counselor, but I used to do a lot of refereeing between him and the kids. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of coping skills when it comes to the kids. I'm the parent, do as I say, not as I do. You need to listen to me, that kind of thing. She asked me one day, I was talking to her about some stuff that had happened during the week with Will and the kids, and she looked at me and she said exactly what you said. Aren't you tired? And I said, no, I had a good sleep last night. I'm feeling pretty good today. She goes, no, aren't you tired? And I looked at her and I thought for a minute, I'm like, you know what? I won't say the swear word I use, but I'm just like, you know what? I am bleeping exhausted.
You could say the swear word. It's G-rated.
And I'm just like, I don't know why. Like, I'm always like, Mom, how are you feeling today? And I would say to Madison, I'm a little bit tired. I didn't sleep well last night. But I think mentally and emotionally from it all, and everything that we went through, like you mentioned, his illness, he has MS. Like, I'm friggin' tired. I was tired.
Yeah.
And she said, don't the kids are old enough. Let them deal with their dad and figure it out and stop refereeing. And so I stopped refereeing. I don't get in the middle of it anymore. And the other thing she told me I had to do was, if it gets too noisy, let me know.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all.
The other thing she told me to do was not to lower my morals and values when it comes to him, but he's never going to be the father as a separation. Mm-hmm. He's never gonna be the separated husband / father that I want him to be.
Maybe your expectations is what she meant. Yeah.
She told me I needed to lower my expectations of him. Mm-hmm. She said, as soon as you lower your expectations, you'll stop getting angry when he doesn't meet them. You'll stop crying when he doesn't meet them. And I walked out of there, and it was a big pill to swallow. Because in some aspects, I don't think that I should have to. But it's been because he's their dad. Like, you should do these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have definitely lowered my expectations. So it's unfortunate. The kids suffer because of it. But
do you know what, Nina? I think the kids learn because of it.
Yeah.
If you reframe it from the kids suffer to the kids learn, they learn also that they have to only own their own actions and their own behavior. They can't change anybody else. And so they're learning through this process. They're not suffering.
Yeah. So, and they know that I'm always here if they want to talk. They don't. Madison's not much of a talker, but Graham's like his mom. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and things hit him a little bit harder. Madison's like her dad. She holds it inside. I'll say, what's the matter? Nothing. I'm fine. No, you're not, but I'll talk to you later when you decide to talk to me. So yeah. So
it sounds like you've had a bit of a breakthrough with that experience.
That was a huge Oprah moment, as you want to call it, light bulb moment.
Yeah.
You need to lower your expectations of him. And as soon as I did that, nothing bothered me anymore. Makes me mad, but it doesn't affect my emotional and mental state as much as it.
We can only walk in our own footsteps, right?
Yeah.
We can only walk our own joy trail. We have a joy trail, and if we walk our joy trail, then nobody else can. We can't walk in other people's footsteps. We can't.
No.
We can't forge a path for someone else.
No. And no matter how many times I pointed out an issue that he was having with the kids, and I would always say, well, maybe if we went at it this way, or if you looked at it this way, it was almost like, well, she told me that it would be better to do it that way, so I'm not going to do it that way on purpose. So
no, right?
I am wasting my breath. So, and I only have so much breath in this body before I'm not here anymore, and I just choose not to waste it on him because it's in this one and out that one. So
yeah, and like you said, we have so much energy.
Yeah.
And what do you truly want to put that energy into?
Yeah.
And is it wasted? And it's not even, really about him at all. It's really about you.
Yeah.
And what you want out of your life and what you want your children to learn and how you want your children to grow.
Yeah.
and teaching them self-love and teaching them responsibility for their own selves is probably more valuable than watching them spin your wheels and have no results. Isn't that insanity? Isn't that what they say? Insanity?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Love
know
you.
about insanity these days. I think insanity changes every time with new technology, and I don't know. Just crazy.
We're all just a little crazy, aren't we?
Yep.
So, with all that you've been through, having a husband with MS and raising 2 babies and working your butt off and then going through this separation and kind of learning who you are, what would you say in all of this, Nina, is the greatest thing that you have learned about yourself, about Nina? What have you learned that you would want others to come away from this experience that you've been through and to say, yeah, I wish I'd known that sooner. I wish I'd learned that before.
I've known for a long time, even before Will and I separated, that I had, met self-esteem issues, and they go back to like being a baby. I didn't this incident that happened with my parents and me, I didn't know anything about it, but it's been pointed out to me over the years, and having it told to me, this story, I didn't realize. I was told it when I was like a young teenager, and I didn't realize until years later, like a few years ago, exactly how that affected me. But I'm learning that somebody's weed whacking.
I can't even hear it.
Really?
Yep, can't even hear it. We're okay. It's a beautiful sunny day. Let them work.
Might be coming this way. It might get louder.
Oh yeah, I can hear it now. It's all right.
I think the lawn maintenance guys are here.
We'll go inside and have a cup of tea.
Oh,
there we go.
I don't know how long you want to talk, so I don't know.
We're good. We're good for probably another 5 or so minutes. Keep going. I'm dying to hear this story.
No, when I was a young baby, my parents were in Chilliwack, and my mom's cousin was there, and my mom got me out of the car, and apparently I'd been teething, and so I was crabby as heck. And my mom said to my dad, can you take her? And my dad turned to my mom in front of other family members and said, well, you're the one that wanted her.
Ooh.
So I was told that at a quite, as teenage years.
Yikes.
And I didn't really think too much about it at the time.
Subconscious, powerful.
Oh yeah. It went into the vault and it stayed there. Mm-hmm. And the vault would open up every, once in a while. So then in high school, I was sexually assaulted by a teacher in high school. And basically he told me the reason why he picked me was because I had low self-esteem, and he knew I wouldn't say anything.
Wow.
So,
Nina, and that never, so sorry.
Yeah. That never really, he passed away in a car accident years later. So I figured he got the news. But I didn't really realize how all that, I didn't deal with it. I just, put it away where I didn't have to worry about it anymore.
It's a box, right? You put it in a box.
Yeah. Compartmentalize. Mm-hmm. Goes in a box. So all of that stuff, like I said, Will left in 2016, but the 4 years leading up to that were, he couldn't work anymore because of the MS. He was on CPP and LTD. I didn't know it at the time, but he was depressed and didn't go for any help. He figured he could do it himself. So
most men feel that way, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they don't like to ask for help, and I think that's one thing that I'm trying to do with my son, is to make him because he's so emotional, is make him realize that that's okay. Yeah. And it's okay to talk about your feelings. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want the circle to continue.
Yeah.
They are their father's children, and Graham's 14 and Will left 3 years ago. So, you know, he was still at a young, impressionable age. Yeah, we
The
just,
greatest thing we can teach our children is not to repeat cycles that we've been through.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I always told Will, if we were having a disagreement, I would always say, don't you think we should take what are the good things that our parents taught us and how they interacted with us, take the good things and use that with our kids. And then the things that we know didn't serve us or didn't make us feel good about ourselves, like not do that with our kids. Like I can look back at my parents' life and I can see the things that they did that I appreciated and the things that they did that I didn't. And I purposely do not do the things that they did that hurt me.
Yeah.
So, but I don't remember what our question was.
About things that you've learned from these amazing struggles. Yeah. And you were going there, but you were talking about your self-esteem and in the last 4 years of your marriage, how that kind of broke down with Will.
Yeah.
And what you were going through it.
I'm not the same person now that I was before I met Will. And I'm not the same person I was in our marriage. So it's like, I'm finding out that I'm a different person, and you can't help but be different when you've gone through so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, deaths in the family and things like that, family and friends. So I read your question because you gave me a heads up on that one, and I wrote down that I haven't learned anything because I'm still learning.
Yes.
It's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've learned is, there goes the voice crack. I think one thing I've learned is that I am good enough. And
oh, that's the greatest lesson.
Yeah.
That's the greatest lesson.
So
you're more than good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my greatest lesson. I learned that about 2 years ago. I realized I was a less than person.
Yeah.
I always felt like I was less than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned, I was like, I'm not less than.
No.
And neither are you. You're more than.
And that, you know, that goes back to even what my dad said. I was 6 months old when he said that, and he doesn't even remember saying it.
No.
And then I find out, like, through conversation with my mom and my dad, that the whole aspect of that one comment was, my dad was in the car and he said, do you want me to get her out of the car? And my mom said, no, I'll get her. And so then when my mom said, can you take her? My dad's like, well, you're the one that wanted her. So.
And he meant it in a completely different way.
Yeah, but the people standing on the road they didn't see the conversation inside the car or hear the conversation inside the car.
And it affected your whole life.
Yep. And I was told that by my mom's cousin, the one that was standing there. He never liked my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I saw him, he had to tell me that story. Every time. Yeah. Yeah. And it just got to the point where, like, 2 years ago, we were at a family thing, and he's like, so how come your dad didn't show up? So I told him, you know, he's at work. And he's like, he said something to the effect of, well, he's never really wanted a lot of things in his life, has he? And I just looked at him and I said, okay, you know what? I know the context of that conversation, and I don't really ever want to hear, like, you don't need to tell me that anymore. You told me this when I was 12. You've been telling me every time I see you since I was 12, and I'm 46 now. I don't need to hear it anymore. So, yeah. So.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yeah.
That's called breaking a cycle right there.
I hope so.
You stood up to a bully, girl. You stood up to a bully. That man's a bully. And you stood up to him, and you broke a cycle, and you broke that out of your subconscious mind. And you broke off that generational whatever the hell that was. And you know what? Your dad does love you. I know your dad, and I know he loves you. Yeah. And that's just lies and lies and lies. And I think, you know what you learned is you learn not to listen to lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what when people have power over you, it's because you listen to the lies they tell you and you believe them.
Yeah.
When they no longer have power over you, it's because you only believe the truth about yourself.
Yeah.
You no longer believe the lies about yourself. You only believe the truth about yourself. And the lies about you that you were believing is that you were not good enough, that you were less than. The truth about you is that you are more than enough. You are great. You are beautiful and amazing. And when you started to believe that truth, that's when you started to grow. That's when you were able to let go of will and let go of the expectations that you had on other people. Because you realize you don't need that. You don't need to control anybody else. You don't need to worry about anybody else because you're enough. You're a great parent. You're an amazing woman. You're strong. You're courageous. You're beautiful. You don't need to do that because that's not your business, girl.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I love you.
I mean, I struggle with stuff. Yeah, I
We all
struggle
do.
with it every
We're
day,
not
right?
perfect.
You know, there's a bathroom scale in my bathroom that I hate, but
that's a whole other episode.
No.
You and me both. You and me both. That's a whole other episode. I am so proud of you. That just brings me so much joy to see that light in you. That I know it's something you've struggled with a long time, and I just feel like you really have come out of a place that has plagued you for a long time, and it's not over. Obviously, I mean, you're not perfect. None of us are, and we all have a long way to go. I think that you've been through a lot, and you've always come out of it with your chin up and stronger from it every time. I know. I just want to say one more thing, and then I want to give you an opportunity to say one last thing before we have to close out for today. But I want to say that. Sorry, now I'm going to get emotional, but I just. I just want to say that I personally, as your friend who's known you for 20 years, and you say you're not the same person when you were married, you're not the same person, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I see it. I see it. I remember when we were first friends. Do you remember September 11th?
Yes.
Do you remember when we were sitting there watching those Twin Towers fall? We were sitting in the living room in our apartment when the Twin Towers were hit and the whole 9/11 thing happened. And we were traumatized. Both of us were traumatized by it. We were sitting on this couch watching it with our kids running around, and we were really deeply affected by that. I'll never forget that day. And I think we were so deeply affected by it because both of us at that time, we were so we were sponges to energy and to emotion and to all the people around us, and we would just soak up everything and everybody's stuff, right? It was like we just, anybody that had a problem would come to us and just download on us and dump all over us, and we would just take it in and take it in and take it in, and then we would end up just feeling so heavy and so depressed and so like, oh my God, we got to solve all the world's problems. And it's exhausting. And then we would be depressed and heavy and negative, like just so negative. And we'd sit and we'd cry and we'd bitch and we'd bitch and we'd bitch. And we didn't mean to, but we just were so overwhelmed by all the negativity around us, right? And that went on for a long time, and for both of us. And then, then we had other things to distract ourselves with, whether it was children or people or husbands or whatever. And then we kind of were away from each other for a while, and we did our own healing and whatever. And then we kind of came back. And now I look and I see such a shift in you. It's like you're lighter. You've got this weight lifted off of you, and even your skin is lighter, and you're everything about you. And I feel the same way myself. And it just means so much to me to be able to spend this time with you and to see that even just the courage that you've had to come and talk about this today is huge. So I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any last words or anything you'd like to share, just to kind of give some hope to people that might be going through similar struggles as separation or dealing with a spouse maybe that's been ill or having to kind of co-parent? Anything you'd like to say as sort of some last words and just to...
I think the one thing with my separation that I've learned that I would tell anyone else going through is that I've seen it on Facebook, and I like all these different quotes and stuff. And one was, no one's going to love the way you love. And I think that's one thing that used to bug me so much about Will is, you know, for someone that I'm in a relationship with, or even my kids. Madison went on a trip last September to Spokane with my sister-in-law, and for every day that she was gone, I got a card for her for every day that she was gone, and I wrote a little something in it and hid it in her suitcase. I used to do that for Will when he went on vacation, like work trips and stuff. And I think that's one thing. I would always do the little things. I'm a little things person.
It's your
And
love language. Yeah.
yeah, and he's not a little things person. So it used to bug me. I would go put time and effort into it, to show him that I cared, and it wasn't getting reciprocated.
He had a different love language. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized in counseling that he was showing it in other ways.
Yeah.
When he was showing it. But yeah, so I think that's one thing people get stuck with, is when they love someone or something a certain way, and it's not they're not loved back that way. That person doesn't mean that they don't love you. It's just that they love you a different way. And I think things would have maybe been different if I had figured that out, a while back.
So to keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open for the ways that your loved ones express their love, even if it's not the way you express love. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So
good.
That helped me.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Nina, for sharing with us today. Thank you so much for being my bestie. I look forward to another 20-ish, 40-ish, 50-ish years. Who knows? We're going to be that couple in the old age home that are smuggling in the margaritas and the slip and slides out of our bedroom.
Where are they building the new dementia village? Is that in Nanaimo?
I don't know. Can we build some tiny homes and like sit together and like sneak back and forth in the middle of the night?
Yeah. We'll have
That'll totally be me.
Our front doors. Apparently, in the dementia home, they'll paint your front door the way it was like the last time you remember it, so that you always.
I love it.
And so I should be on my love it door, and you'll have your love it door.
That would be funny.
That's what we'll remember.
That would be amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for coming and sharing and being part of Besties in the Box. And for all of you that have been watching, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to meeting with you again next Thursday. And next Thursday, we'll be meeting with Angie, and we're looking forward to seeing you then. For now, goodbye, love and light. Have a wonderful week. Thanks again.
Bye.